This video is an idea I got from expatkerri about her video on dating Koreans. And she actually did a video series with this, which I thought was really kind of cool. And one of her topics was about Korean men dating foreign women. When I used to live in Korea from 2000 to almost 2000, well, to actually mid 2003, or towards the end of it, really, I actually did some dating around, and I was dating Korean guys, as a matter of fact. And they were quite interesting because basically what I went through was is here they find this non-Korean woman who's very excited to know the culture, but also wants to hit the dating scene, and yet they kind of see dating Korean women. At least this was on my or non-Korean women. At least this was my experience as sort of like a notch to put on the bedpost, if you will. Um, Overall, I learned a lot. And yes, it is true how a Korean man thinks is a little bit different from an American man, and just the whole cultural aspect of, sort of the dating process. And something that I notice is when it comes to not seriously dating in Korea, it's like you do it for the fun, you do it for the experience, you do it because, hey, I can tell all my friends about it, especially if it's a non Korean. If it's for marriage or otherwise, I notice it tends to get a little bit more complicated, if you will. And it's really interesting because about a couple of years after I left Korea and I started seeing this show about all these foreign women who were in Korea for one reason or another, and they made a talk show out of it, it's a very good show. Until they had the whole they're gonna start hooking up these women with Korean guys bit. So it's like, in a way, that's kind of exploiting the idea of dating a non-Korean woman. And one of the reasons I discovered just something fascinating, and that was the fact that a lot of Korean guys have this impression that all Western women are free or open in a sexual way. And I encountered this quite a bit, and I found myself having to fight against it. And when I asked my students one time, well, what is it? Why are people thinking this way? They basically said to me, well, we've been watching the movies. And so so if we think that, you know, the movies are telling us, they're teaching us that, hey, all women are sexual beings and they're free and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, no, that's not necessarily true. And I literally had to tell them. But when I found out that fact, it made me realize, what we put out there in the media or entertainment wise really does have an impact. Because people can assume one thing when in reality it's entirely different. And that even happened to me too, because I thought before I went to Korea that Korean culture, for the most part, was very strict, was very conservative, was very, everybody had a temper, so you had to walk on eggshells. And I discovered that wasn't necessarily true. It was the over exaggeration portrayal of it. So I think it's something that we really need to consider. How another culture sees us and how we view the other culture, because unless we actually talk to somebody or know somebody personally from that other culture, we're going to be totally miseducated as to what's out there.